Just when we think we've heard it all surrounding the world of our gut bacteria, quite honestly, some of us are getting numb to it. Okay, we know the gut biome is important, but now there's actual evidence showing that our gut bacteria can literally make us gain weight, and vice versa. When we're overweight, our gut bacteria can literally do other things. So what I want to address in this video is the world of our gut bacteria and inflammation. But I also want to talk about how it affects our weight too. You see, our gut bacteria is different when we're overweight. Literally what we're seeing is that if we are overweight, the species of gut bacteria that we have are completely different than the species of gut bacteria that lean people have. And more often than not, the obese people or people that are overweight, their gut bacteria usually has pro-inflammatory properties, which means that it's gut bacteria that's actually going to make them even more overweight and also make them feel really cruddy. You see, there was one study that was published in Nature Journal. Took a look at 77 pairs of twins. Okay, now with these pairs of twins, one twin was lean and one twin was obese. So what was really interesting is that they found that the obese group had a completely different style of bacteria, a whole bunch of different species. Now the other thing that was interesting is that the obese group had a lower diversity when it came down to the species of bacteria. So they had less of the overall different kinds of bacteria than the lean group had, and they had different kinds than the lean group altogether. And I'm going to get to this a little bit later because it's all going to make some sense, but that's very, very important to know. But when we start looking at ways to fix that, there was a study that was published in the journal Nutrients that found that some known and potential probiotics actually could have anti-inflammatory effects that could actually result in some weight loss. So what they actually had found is that mice that were fed prebiotic fibers that would actually grow the good bacteria ended up having a decrease in their weight gain, and they also had reduced insulin levels. Obviously, that's going to perpetuate and make it so that these mice wouldn't gain more weight, but they also just wouldn't have inflammatory issues to begin with. Now, where does this all come from, though? Like, what is actually triggering the inflammation and what is not? Well, you see, when we look at gut bacteria, we have to know that there are two different kinds we really need to pay attention to, gram-positive and gram-negative. Now, they live together in harmony, and a good degree of gram-negative bacteria are totally fine to have. But the thing is, gram-negative bacteria, when they start to grow too much, and we start to have too much overall gram-negative bacteria, that's when we run into a situation where our bodies are unhealthy. You see, we usually have an overabundance of gram-negative bacteria when we have some kind of infection going on, or we're sick, or if our diet is just completely off the rocker. You see, gram-negative bacteria have this particular thing in their outer membrane. It's known as a lipopolysaccharide. And the cool thing is, lipopolysaccharides in small amounts can actually do some good things. But when we have too much of the gram-negative bacteria, those lipopolysaccharides can leach off of the bacteria and actually leach through our intestinal tract and get into the bloodstream where they incite an inflammatory response. They stimulate inflammatory cytokines to do their jobs and instill inflammation throughout the body, making us achy, making us sick, making us overweight, and flat out making us miserable. Now, the cool thing is that lactobacillus, which is a type of probiotic, a type of bacteria, is actually showing signs at getting rid of those lipopolysaccharides, or at least reducing them. And I'll touch on that in just a second. But just to show you the magnitude of what a lipopolysaccharide can do within your body, here's an interesting study. So the Journal of Diabetes published a study that showed that mice that were given a lipopolysaccharide injection ended up almost instantly gaining weight, but also having an increase in blood sugar. So literally, these lipopolysaccharides that come off of the gram-negative bacteria have like this amazing, almost magical effect on the body to have it trigger a bunch of inflammation. So even mice that didn't have a change in bacteria but were just given the immediate lipopolysaccharides ended up gaining weight and having an increase in blood sugar. You see, the Journal of Alimentary Pharmacology and Therapeutics published a study that found that 30 human test subjects that actually took in a lactobacillus ended up having a reduction of their lipopolysaccharide levels. Now, these were test subjects that had cirrhosis of the liver, so they probably had some good inflammatory markers going on in the first place. But when they were given lactobacillus, their lipopolysaccharide levels decreased, which shows that if we start getting the good bacteria in and we start having the growth of the good bacteria and that perfect, good, perpetual cycle going, then we can start fighting inflammation at a whole different level. And that's exactly where PuraTHRIVE comes in. You see, PuraTHRIVE has a unique strain of probiotics that also utilizes a liposomal micellar delivery system that makes it so that you're actually absorbing your probiotics. Now, it's not the end-all be-all, and I'm not going to say that it's going to cure inflammation or stop it in its tracks, but it's at least going to get you down the right path of getting the good bacteria in place so you can fight those lipopolysaccharides and get your body in balance with the gram-positive bacteria versus the gram-negative bacteria. So I've explained in full detail on the next page how this actually works and how our technology works. So if you go ahead and you click on the link, you can learn a little bit more and get your hands on some of those probiotics today. But as always, make sure you're keeping it locked in here with PuraTHRIVE, and I'll see you in the next video.